Hey everybody, Mrs. Bianchi here. We're looking at number 7 on the area of triangles, and they're asking us to find the unknown measurement for the triangle. Anytime we're talking about area and triangles, this is the formula you want to use always. It's area equals half of the base times height. So we're going to substitute the values in that they give us, and then we'll have to use algebra to solve it. So they do give us the area. We're going to put this number underneath the A. We'll bring down the constant, which is a half. They tell us the base, which is 5. So remember, we're multiplying a half times 5. What we don't know is the height. So we'll put in the variable h there. By the way, if there's no symbol between a number and the letter, it does mean multiply. But when you're new at this, sometimes it's better just put the little multiplication sign, and then eventually you'll get comfortable with dropping that. All right, so the next thing to do is to simplify this. And there's two ways we can do that. Now in class, we talked about how taking half of something is the same as dividing it by 2. So if we take half of 5, we can divide it by 2. Let's use a calculator to kind of speed things up. So we'll put the 5 in the calculator, and then we'll divide that by 2. And we get 2 and 5/10. I'm going to write that number down, but I want to show you another way in the event that you get confused, that you can get this 2 and 5/10 by doing decimal conversions. Now, some of you might be looking at the half and saying, well, I know that a half is equal to 5/10. Did you know that if you just replace this with its decimal equivalent and then multiplied it by the 5, you would still get the 2 and 5/10? So just to demonstrate, let me show you why that's true. So 5/10 times 5 would give you 2 and 5/10. So the thing that's confusing is the idea that when you're dividing by the denominator. You take this number and you're basically dividing. The fraction bar does mean divide. So we haven't done a lot of work and review with dividing fractions. So you might not be totally skilled with that yet, but you will be. All right, so the next step is to put a fraction bar to show the inverse operation. And just by sheer coincidence, these numbers are the same. But what number are we always dividing by when we set up the algebra? We're really dividing by this value over here, which is 2 and 5/10. So we're going to put that value underneath both. And if we do 2 and 5/10 and divide it by 2 and 5/10, we get 1, and 1 times h would be h. So this side simplifies to equaling h. And if we do 2 and 5/10 and divide it by 2 and 5/10, in fact, let's even use a calculator just to reinforce that idea. 2 and 5/10 divided by 2 and 5/10 equals 1. So this divided by this equals 1. All right, so now let's say you're not sure if you did it correctly. You can always substitute in your value. So you know how we got a 1 for the h? If we substitute in the value of 1 and we did a half times 5 times 1, we should, of course, get 2 and 5/10 as a check. All right, so by the way, be careful with the formatting because if you don't format it correctly, things that I've seen people do is they put no space between things. If the computer marks you wrong because you didn't format it correctly, make sure you email me and I'll be sure to revise your score. But you want to check to see if it did in fact give you the 1 point. If you see 1 point, it may show up red just because you formatted wrong. But if you see the 1 point, then you in fact got the point for it.